Welcome back, guys. My name is Brandon. Today's going to be one of the more unique things that we've built on this channel. Stick around. This is what we're working on today, and you're probably asking yourself, what is this that we're doing? It's a Ford pickup truck. This is how I picked it up from the customer, and it has a piece of plywood attached to the top, and it has cushions that I don't have with me right now. They're about 2 or 3 inches thick. They go on top of this, sits on this. The plywood is bolted directly to this frame. This is an electric kid's like toy that you would ride in for a little kid. If you look in there, you can see it's got like the battery in there. It's got a little suspension underneath with little electric motors, and it steers. So what is this? This is going to be a chiropractor table for children. If your child needs to have some sort of adjustment, going to a chiropractor could be, scary for a little kid. So they came up with this concept that they wanted to have one of these cars use this top surface as an adjustment table, but the issue is right now is that it's too low. So they need me to build a frame underneath this that's adjustable that'll raise this up 12 inches up to maybe like 32, 33, 34 inches. So that's what we're going to do today, guys. We're building an adjustable frame that sits underneath this, has some feet so this can sit on the floor, so that when a kid goes in to get, some sort of chiropractic adjustment, that they're not intimidated, and this would be a little more kid-friendly. So this should be a fun one. I don't know anything about chiropractors. I just know that the customer reached out to me and asked me to build it, and I said sure. This is the type of job that I absolutely love. Given the freedom to do something, he just said he needs this to be 12 inches taller, wants it adjustable. It's up to me to figure out how to do that. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm also going to be building another one of these very soon. When I was at his practice looking at building this, he ordered another one while I was right there. We're going to do it a little bit differently than how this was done. They've already attached the plywood and done all this work to this one. So we're going to make adjustable legs underneath it. But the next one we're going to do, which is going to be an upcoming video, we'll do that one a little bit different. So this is my thoughts after looking at this. This front axle, this is where it's designed to carry and hold the weight. So I think we're going to start off by cutting some 1-inch square tube, set that in here, because this is where it's designed to have the force, the downwards force put against. So we'll put a piece right here as our base, and that's what we're going to weld to. Same thing with the back. You can see how this axle right here is designed to have that weight. So I'm going to take another piece of 1-inch tube, go across this, weld it right to this axle. This will never be a toy car again, so it doesn't need to be. It's not going to be moved around or anything like that. It's literally going to be a stationary table that they're going to pull some pins to adjust it up and down if they need to. For the most part, probably one certain person will be using this, and if a taller person should come into the practice, apparently they can set it for a different height if they need to. So I want to try to make my load-bearing points line up to the areas that are designed to carry a load, and that's going to be right here. And my goal is to also keep these mounting attachment points fairly wide. I don't necessarily want them too far inboard because I don't want this to become a little tippy. So I want to keep my adjustable legs a little bit closer to the outside, preferably in line with the plywood, because if it's a little bit wider, it's just going to make it a little more stable versus just having a vertical post come up here and one come up here. I think overall that's, the wider we go, the more stable it's going to be. So that's one of my concerns. So I think what I'm going to do is start by cutting some square tube here. Then I'll probably weld some flat plate vertical on that so we can notch it around these motors. Then we can attach a vertical column over here that's really close to the inside of the tires. Same thing front and back. Maybe make them 12 inches tall. And then have a tube that slips inside of that with a pin that's adjustable. I think that's going to work pretty good. Should be pretty simple. A little bit of flat bar, a little bit of 1 1/4 by 1/8 inch tube, by some 1-inch tube by 1/8 inch that'll fit inside of it for the adjustable legs. Then the bottom of the feet will have some little, maybe some circles or some squares as feet to keep it from digging into the floor. And I'll make you go from, let's see, the inside of that, the inside of there, about 18.5. That ought to do it. And that will fit in there just like that. Then I can weld a piece of flat bar on edge and notch it around this to get it really close to those tires. Then to hold this new piece to this, we'll just weld it here, do the same thing on the back side, same thing over there. For this next measurement, let's measure from like inside of tire to inside of tire and see what we get. Looks like about 22.5 would work. Here I got a piece of 3-inch flat bar, 1/8 inch thick, and we said we wanted it 22.5. Like I said, guys, I love building stuff this way. I love having the freedom to just come up with designs. For me, this is a lot of fun. This will go on edge just like this, but let's see, I'm gonna have to notch it out over here a little, like that, and something like that. This is another one of my tool builds, and if you're interested in checking it out, I'll have a link up above, but I use this probably more than any one tool in the workshop right now. Nice. Nice fit. Now, this is a little long, but this will be the idea. You can kind of see that fit up. Well, that's going to work. That'll get all welded to that. There'll be a cross member from here to the back. All right, measured up from the tire, went up about 10 inches. That's where we need to cut it off, right there. I got most of my parts all cleaned up where everything is going to go, and I think now what I want to do is start just getting a few tacks on things, getting it held into place, get things squared up so we can start moving forward. Then once we know everything's going to work as we expect it to, then we'll just fully weld it out. You can see now that I've got these legs cut, how it's going to sit on this knuckle, and that is going to basically be its downwards force. That's where the force from the machine is anyways when it's sitting there. So it's going to be, not only is it going to be spread onto this, but it's also going to be spread across this when we weld that all together. So it's going to add quite a bit of reinforcement, and we're going to do something very similar to the back. It doesn't have to get fully welded along the bottom seam. We'll just do stitch welds there, and then this will get welded here to the knuckle, then we'll be able to weld it to the plate, and we'll have a lot of weld on this, be nice and solid. This plate down here will keep it from going this way, and then we'll run a cross brace from front to back once we get the back there. These are my settings. I'm at 325 inches per minute, 18.6 volts. I'm using 30 thousandths solid wire, and I'm running 15 CFH of gas. Got a fan on because it's 180 degrees in my shop right now. And we're going to start sucking out some fumes because it is too hot to be opening a window today. That looks pretty close. Get a tack on it, we'll bend it into place. Pretty good. The hardest part about taking on a project like this when you go to look at it is pricing it out, because you're doing something that nobody has ever done before, including myself. I've never done this. I try to get a rough ballpark estimate when I'm looking at the job of what I'm going to need for materials, and then give myself a rough ballpark estimate of what it's going to take me for time. So say like 4 hours of time, maybe $100 worth of materials, and that's like the verbal price that I shoot off to my customer to get them in the ballpark until I can get back to the workshop and try to drill it down a little bit better. I'm happy with that. That's going to work really well. Got a tack top and bottom there, tacks across here, there, down in there. Tires still spin, and got it all welded out in here. So this is the side you're going to see. So I put less weld over here just so it's a cleaner look. With most of the front built, let's get this back piece on here. So we'll cut a piece of 1 1/4 that goes from here to here. That can be welded on. Then we'll end up doing something probably similar that we did with that flat plate. So I got to get a measurement from here to here. It's like about 17 inches. I make sure when I'm on site that I take tons of pictures. That way when I get back to the shop, I can really study over the pictures, come up with my plan, and get them a real accurate price. I got a little water close by too, in case this plastic gets a little hot. I can spray it down. Now I got this all on there. You can see those came out pretty good. These are super thin, but that's okay because it's kind of spread out amongst all of this. So got a nice weld there, got a nice weld there. Not so much here. Picked up some porosity in here just because I wasn't able to get it clean as I wanted to. That's fine. Now we're going to do the same thing and put a plate across this, which will now allow us to get this vertical. Because if you see, this tube is at an angle. So when we put our plate on, we'll put it on edge just like this. Then we'll run a cross member from the plate back to there. And as far as like painting this, I'm not going to bother spray paint it. I'll clean it down, hand sand it real quick, and then put it on with a brush. Put on some black enamel paint, just so we don't get overspray and get everything everywhere. I think this is going to look really unique when it's done. Should look really clean. Probably look like it came that way. That's the hopes anyways.
One of the hardest parts when doing custom work is to get your customer to convey to you what their completed vision of this project is. They've had weeks to think about it and look at it. You're there for just a few minutes. So it really takes a lot of communication skills to draw out what their vision is so that you end up building exactly what it is that they want.
I want to make sure that this plate is parallel up and down because this right here is at an angle. So if I look at the bubble, this is not level. I could level it if I wanted to, or I could just use the function on this level, turn it on. I can see it's 1.2 degrees out of being level. So I just press 0 on it and it'll zero itself out. And then I set it on here and it should read 90. 89.6. So I can get it into 90 because it's pretty close. That's how you get that to be 90 degrees to the base of the car, even though this isn't level.
I make it a point to ask my customer lots of questions. I want them to explain every detail to me, how they plan to use it, how it's going to work, because in their head they have the vision. He just knows that he wants this table to be able to go up and down and be adjustable. But I'm thinking of additional things, like he just knows he needs it strong. I'm thinking, how do I make it that way? How do I make it so that it's strong? It needs to not be tippy. He may not be thinking about that, but I'm thinking of the geometry of how I'm going to build this. I need it to be strong, and I certainly can't have some kid falling off this after I built it.
You can see that I took the tires off. That way I could get in there and get everything welded up a little bit better and get more weld on it. Plus it'll make it a lot easier on painting. So the next thing I've got to do is I'm going to start building the 1-inch pieces that go inside this that are going to have a little foot in the bottom. Then we're going to have to drill a hole through here to put a pin through to make this all adjustable. So we've got 4 1-inch pieces we got to cut at 12 inches. I've clamped a stop block to the saw, so that's set up 12 inches away from the blade. So now I just got to bump it into this block 4 times. A lot easier. Then I don't have to make an actual cut mark. I can just keep sliding it down and make repetitive cuts. Just quicker that way.
My number one piece of advice, especially to you guys that are just starting out, is take lots of pictures, and when you meet with your customer, ask lots of questions. It all boils down to, again, they've had this vision in their head for a while, and you're just seeing it. And you need to come up with a price that reflects what it's going to cost to build it, so you don't lose your shirt on this. So it's imperative that you ask lots of questions, repeat it back to them. Say, is this what you're looking to do? And I know it might get embarrassing at times when you feel like you're not understanding what they're wanting to have built, but it's so important that you have this dialogue. And in the end, your customer is going to appreciate it. For one, what they're asking of you sometimes may not even be possible. It may not even be able to be done. So it's important that you go into this having a full understanding of what it is they're trying to build, and it's up to you to make sure that they're conveying it to you properly so that you understand.
I've laid one of these out, so I've got 7-inch of adjustment, and I went through and center punched every inch along the way, and we're going to have a pin like this that makes it adjustable. So we just got to find the right size drill bit. Looks like 1/4 inch, so we'll go one step bigger, and we'll go like 17/64, give it a little bit of room. We'll do one, then we'll use this as the template for all the others.
I picked up this drill press on Marketplace for 35 bucks, and then I cut it up and modified it for this mag drill. And I'll have a link up above if you want to check out how I did it.
Okay, now that we got one done, I'll just set this on top of each of the others, and that'll be my template.
Doing little shortcuts like this speeds up your production, which makes you more money, and you're also more accurate doing it.
Now that I got my tubes all drilled out, I had to go through and wash them, get all that oil out of them, because as soon as I stood these up, all the oil started running out and getting all over my plates. So my plates are all prepped, all the edges are rounded, looks really nice. Now we're just going to center up this tube and get a little tack, a little short weld on all four corners. It doesn't need to go all the way around, it just needs to hold this foot on.
One of the things that I really appreciate about this fume extractor is that after I take off my respirator, or in this instance I'm not even wearing mine right now, is that the shop doesn't have all that residual fumes laying around for me to still breathe in. The shop is completely contamination free and I'm loving it.
I'll go take those over to the wire wheel now and get them all cleaned up, make sure there's no burrs on them. I thought I was going to need to put a spreader across the bottom right there. Not at all. The way this thing is built, it is so strong. Even just trying to bend one of these legs inwards or that way, none of them will do it. It's just the way it's built, I guess. It's just super strong. Plus, I like that it's open at the bottom. You think as far as like cleaning, if you put a cross piece across here, it's going to make, I don't know what kind of floor this is going on though, but if you vacuum a mop or anything like that, it's going to make vacuuming stuff a little more difficult. I'm glad that it is strong like this. That way I can just leave it open because I like it. I think it looks cleaner that way, and it's super strong. An adult could be on this, and you could do one of those. I've been watching those, ring dinger videos or something. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those. They lay you down on a table and they like pin your hips in, and then he wraps like a towel around your neck and just like jerks your body, and it just pops everything right from your hips all the way to your neck. Yeah, you could do that on this and the legs wouldn't fold off it. I wouldn't be worried, not even a little bit. One of the reasons that I flipped this over, I didn't explain it, is I just wanted to verify one last time that when this was sitting on a flat level surface, that it didn't wobble, that all the legs were even. Because if they weren't all perfect and even, I could just go around and cut whatever one of them was a little long or whatever I needed to do to make an adjustment. Now that we know that everything is perfect, I can flip this over and then mark out my legs and drill them for these adjustable pins. And I think I'm going to do the mag drill for this. That way I just know that it's going to bore a nice straight hole all the way through. It'll be super easy, and it's already set up anyways from drilling these holes. Might as well. Only takes a second. It's just so much easier to use that. A real easy way to make the marks on this tube over here really accurate is take one of the legs, because they're all the same because we used a pattern. Use this tool right here and set it so that the edge of this is at the center of that hole. Then all I have to do is just drop that in, bump this to the edge of that plate, make a mark. Now I know that's where the center of that hole needs to be, and I can do that on all four of them. And extend it across.
I try to share some of these fabrication layout tips that I've picked up over the years. What are some of the tips that you guys have picked up that you guys enjoy?
And then this will go through just like this. So it's got 5 inches of adjustment, and if you wanted to get a little more out of it, you could always put a couple more holes in here to get a couple more inches.
For anyone that's ever used a mag drill, you'll appreciate how fast and how accurate you can drill holes with one of these.
And now that everything is painted, now we can get this thing all put back together, and I am super happy how this came out.
I became curious and I wanted to learn a little bit about this. Why would a child need a manipulation and what's involved? And the research that I did is that the forces used, it's no more than you'd use to like test a ripe tomato. So it's like super light force. They don't use, any cracking or popping like you would with an adult. They use basically their fingers and their hands, and they basically target the spine. So, some kids have like posture and alignment issues or nerve interference, and this is to help with all of that. So it's really light pressure. I guess it can help with, sleep, acid reflux. I guess there's all kinds of benefits to doing this, but if it's right for you or your family, that's something you'd want to look into.
And just like that, it is done. It's got the covers all back on it. this thing, I am just super happy how this came out. It's all painted. Looks like it came that way. This is what the covers look like on top. You know, the kid would sit on top of this, and then the chiropractor would be standing at, either side of this car. So it's acting as a table per se, and then the kid would get the adjustment without all the intimidating looks of like a doctor's office. So a kid looks kind of fun. The chiropractor was telling me that one of the, I guess the chiropractors at his practice, I guess, is so good that she can have some of the kids be on like a table and they've done the adjustment and the kids really don't even know that it happened. Oh, and I even put my sticker on it. So hopefully he'll be okay with that. If not, then he can just take it off, or I'll take it off for him, but it's good to get a little bit of advertising. And here's the hardware for the adjustable legs. You can see when it's painted just how it looks like it's always been that way. Everything just looks as though it was made like that. Everything blends in pretty well. The idea would be for someone to look at it and be like, how did he do that? How did he make that work? And there it is from underneath. And everything still spins, so kids could go up and spin the tires if they wanted to. Like I said, guys, I love doing projects like this. It's just unique, it's different, and it's fun. And that's all there is to it. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. New videos every Friday. If you're wondering about any of the tools that you saw me using, I'll have links down below. And as my shirt says, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Until next week, I will see you then. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.